Hello everyone out there. I'm attorney Brian Tierney. This is Breaking Bread with Brian. Today I'm at Mama Luigi's fine Italian restaurant here on the southwest side of Chicago, just outside the city. Very excited to be here today. I want to thank the owners for letting us break bread. There's a lot of great menu options here. All of them are delicious. I'll be talking more about the specifics later, and the prices are reasonable too. Great place to come for any type of occasion, private parties, private events, or just a quiet lunch or a business lunch. The man behind the camera is Renee Costa of Blum Visual. If you want to take your marketing to the next level, you need to talk to Renee Costa from Blum Visual. I can't stress that enough. Thank you for all your hard work, as always, Renee. I'm here today with Antje Gehrken. She is the owner and managing broker at A.R.E. Partners Real Estate here in Chicago, Illinois, on the northwest side of Chicago. She is also very heavily involved with the Chicago Association of Realtors, and I'm sure that the association is better for having her as one of their members.
Thank you.
And Antje has so many interesting things in her life that I want to discuss today. I think we have enough to talk about that we could do a second one, and maybe we will next year. So I guess the one last thing is that Antje has a very extensive musical background. We're going to talk about that too. So without further ado, Antje Gehrken, thank you so much for being here and breaking bread with me today. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I hope you like Italian food.
I love Italian food. It's probably one of my favorite. And you know, you can try to cook pasta at home, but it's never the same.
It's not.
No. Are you Italian?
I'm not. I'm almost 100% Irish.
Okay.
I have a little bit of Cherokee Indian, but almost 100% Irish. Yeah.
Okay.
And how about you?
I am German, and I have a little bit of Russian, but yeah, almost 100% German. And I did one of those ancestry DNAs.
Okay.
It was completely not surprising at all. Because my parents came here from Germany right before I was born, so I pretty much knew what was happening.
Okay, so they came from Germany.
Yes.
But mostly Russian, you're saying?
No, mostly German.
Oh, mostly German.
They came from Germany, but there is some Russian.
Oh, some Russian too.
Mm-hmm.
I thought you mentioned there was some Dutch as well. Dutch?
My name is Dutch,
but
legend goes that it's actually the name of one of my father's girlfriends, which is probably why my parents were divorced when I was 3, so.
I see.
Yeah, sad days.
Brighter days ahead here at
I hope so.
Brian.
I certainly hope so.
So, I'm going to tell the viewers how we met. So we met at the Chicago Association YPN Breakfast, so it stands for Young Professional Network Breakfast.
That's right.
I'm very proud of myself. I think I was a good boy this year. I made every single breakfast. I made sure that when I put it on the calendar, it was a firm appointment. I wanted to go to all of them before, like with the last year and the year before that, but I didn't have a staff at the time. So now that I have a staff, my lovely staff, I can't say enough good things about you. I can get away and I can do things like this and go to the YPN breakfast and know that my business is still being taken care of. The scheduling, the phone calls, the emails that we get hundreds of every single day. And we love all of them. We love all your emails out there.
It's true.
Yes. If you don't think so, it's a story for another time, but there is proof in the pudding. Wait till you see my inbox.
Mm-hmm.
So we met at the YPN breakfast.
Yes.
You spoke earlier this year about working with investors, which you do a lot of, is my understanding, investors and institutional clients. For you, you focus more with like commercial real estate and also investors. Do you still work with residential? Or?
I do. You know, the thing that's great about having my own firm is that I do what I want. No one else is the boss of me. And the same is true, though, for the brokers at A.R.E. Partners. So if someone wants to do something specific, we'll do it. We'll figure it out, and we do it. So I've done everything from condos to I'm under contract with a unfinished gas station or land development opportunities. And then because I'm also in Northwest Indiana, you know, I have hunting land or other things that, you know, sort of fall outside of the purview of just doing one thing. And I kind of need that because I like to do a lot of different things.
Good deal.
But working with investors is fantastic, and yeah, that's how we met at YPN, and good for you for going, because making that kind of time for personal and professional development is important.
And you couldn't have said it any better, because it's professional development. Like, there's a lot of things I like about the breakfast, like Manny's Deli, the breakfast is delicious. It grows on you, right? You kind of look forward to that once each month. I'm going to get this delicious corned beef hash that tastes like it has powdered sugar on it or something. It's so good. But the professional development part of it, because hats off to the YPN this year, Mo Dotka and everybody else who helped out, Rachel Frangos, all those people. Great lineup of speakers this year, yourself included.
Thanks.
They had just a lot of things to learn. And as far as professional development, I'm a better attorney from having heard what you had to say about working with investors, or even interior designing. Like, I know new colors of paint that would work well. Like, who would think that your attorney knows that? But these are all things I have in my arsenal that make me a better advocate and better professional. So I love the YPN breakfast for sure.
Yeah, those are fantastic. I mean, there's always somebody who has something interesting to say. So no matter where you are in your career, whether you're just starting out or you've been doing it for a while, to hear other professionals talk about how they do something, whether it's working with investors or investing themselves, or even in some cases, I think one of the ones you mentioned earlier was how to balance work and life.
Yeah.
Even something like that. So to hear that and to get that input is always helpful. And they're short, like an hour, and you get the breakfast, and when you leave, you buy one of those smiley face cookies for your peeps.
Yes, so many good offerings at Manny's. You can take a bunch of good stuff to go from there, from candies to cookie to just like, lunch meat and things like that. Great venue, great guests this year. And, as far as the personal development side of it, we just had the health and wellness breakfast. Speakers back in July, and that's something that needs to be revisited a lot, because unfortunately we put ourselves aside sometimes because we put our clients first, but you always have to recharge and you always have to be in touch and just revisit those types of things to make sure you're staying on track. At least that's the way I feel for myself.
I agree 100%. So have a drink.
I will. What a delicious non-adult beverage I'm having here right now.
Apple juice?
Yes, that's exactly what that is. My doctor recommended it, and far be it from me to disobey doctor's orders. So, for the viewers out there are people walking by. There's another event at this restaurant today, and they probably think we're movie stars sitting in here. We are not famous, but kind of, maybe. I don't know. But either way, we're
in
here.
In Asia. Famous in Asia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyhow, we'll be respectful of their event that they're having next door. So when I like to know about my viewers ahead of time, I guess, or my guests, that is to say, ahead of time, and I'm guessing that's something that any interviewer would want to do. So when I was reading up about you, I was looking at all sorts of things, and I see we have this in common, we have that in common, we have this in common. And I realized that I fell in love. And I said, you are the female version of me. And I am like, I should be fighting this feeling. That was the man in me saying this. And I'm like.
So essentially you fell in love with yourself?
Kind of, I guess.
Okay.
But I was like, should I be fighting this feeling? No, I should not. It is good. It is a good thing. So I just thought that was something funny to share. But I saw that you were born and raised in Chicago.
Yes. As I said, my parents came here from Germany, and as did my stepfather. And he's also, in addition to being an immigrant, he's also a refugee. He escaped a communist country and had to live in a refugee camp before coming here. And this was several decades ago. But I did grow up in the city. I've always lived in the city. I've been all over the world, but Chicago is home.
Good deal, and I feel the same way. I haven't had the chance to travel that much in my life. I'm starting to do it more now, and because of my busy profession, I try to get away from more frequent, smaller trips, so that I'm, where's Brian? He hasn't been around. I'm just gone for 3, 4, 5 days, and then I come back, and it's just a nice getaway to kind of refresh my mind and things like that. But so you said your parents came from Germany. How old were they when they came here?
They had just gotten married, so they were in their early 20s.
Okay, and they were the first generation as part of your family that came here to America?
Yes, that's right. So does that make me first generation?
Second generation. Or I don't know how that works.
Yeah.
I think if
I
they
think
immigrate, you are first generation.
Yeah, 'cause
you're
I'm
the
the
first
first-
one born into
that's right.
to America. And
Yeah,
that's,
so
I'm
first-
first generation too then. Yeah, and what line of work were they in? What do they do?
So my mother is an artist, and my father was actually offered a job here as the editor of the German newspaper and also as the radio host for the German radio. And so that's why they came here for that opportunity. And so he's pretty well known in the German community. Unfortunately, he passed when I was a teenager, but people still know who he is. And because I have the same last name, you know, not that it's that prevalent anymore, but Lincoln Square used to be a pretty heavy German neighborhood.
Area, yeah.
There's only a few of the original store owners and so forth left, but you know, they all knew who my father was and so forth because of that.
Very good, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, I love culture as a person who is a first generation American. You know, first generation American. I love all things Irish or just learning about different cultures. And we're at a time where we're filming this. There's a lot of Oktoberfest coming up.
Yes.
All sorts of good livelihood and social times, and just a chance to try some good German beer. There's so many good ones coming up. A lot of my friends are beer-ees. I don't even know if that's a word. There's foodies, but beer-ees. So we'll be trying the different microbreweries around here to do some awesome Oktoberfest beers. Shout out to Imperial Oak in Willow Springs, Illinois, not too far from here. If anybody else wants a shout out, you better bring your A game. Maybe Buckle Down Brewery over there on 47th near First Avenue. They're bringing their A game too. The grapefruit beer they just released about a month or two was incredible. In the interest of full disclosure, I'm not huge on craft beers or microbrews, but there's some damn good ones out there. Two of those are some of the finest here in the Chicagoland area, the ones I just named. So for Oktoberfest, do you have any plans coming up for that?
No, you know, I mean, even though I was raised in a German family, we didn't really do stuff like that. And I don't even know how authentic that really is. You know, it's sort of like when you go to a Greek restaurant, my husband's Greek, when they light the cheese on fire, they don't do that in Greece. You know what I mean, in Yellow Opa. I think that's something that was originated here. So not that Oktoberfest doesn't happen in Germany, because it does. And as a matter of fact, I know a lot of people who buy like Lederhosen and so forth, so they can go to Munich for Oktoberfest. But we didn't really celebrate that coming up. And I like beer, but it's not a big deal for me. I'd rather drink scotch or a nice glass of Cabernet, like this glass I have right here.
Yes, ma'am. Do you see yourself opening like a winery in the future at all, maybe?
No, I do not. I've done a lot of stuff in my life, and I see myself being open to new challenges, but a winery is not one of them.
See, I was wondering because one of the other topics that we'll probably discuss more as we go on here is that you have a 16-acre farm.
A horse farm, a 16-acre horse farm, yes.
In Indiana.
Yeah, I just bought it this year.
See, when you have that much acreage, I'm like, is she going to use like 5 acres of that to do like the Antje brand wine coming out, or the A.R.E. wine?
Yeah, I mean, I like the concept, but one of the things I did think about, and I have talked about other people in the real estate industry, about growing truffles. Now that takes a lot of research, and it takes years and years. I didn't even realize this, but you have to grow trees, and then you have to do all of this stuff to
trees, really?
Yeah, because the truffles grow in foresty areas, and I do have some trees.
So to give them the environment they need,
yes,
you have to have a lot of trees.
Right, and then usually you got to get a pig to root out the truffles. But pigs bite. I don't know if you knew that. And if you try to take the truffle out of its mouth,
and they will take your fingers off probably if they bite.
So maybe like a dog, like you have to train a dog. And so anyway, that might be something down the road. I'm just
something that's sitting there on the back burner that you're stewing with a little bit, and maybe it'll come to fruition after a while. That's
truffles,
interesting.
but not wine.
See, I don't know a lot about truffles because there's 2 types of truffles, right? There's like mushrooms, then you can use them for like truffles and truffle butter to eat. And then isn't there chocolate truffles too? Isn't that a thing? Am I making it up?
Oh, no, you're absolutely right. And those are delicious also. But I don't think that those are grown in the earth.
I don't think so either.
I could be wrong.
I agree with you on that point.
I could be wrong. So.
They're made in some magical way at some, Willy Wonka factory somewhere.
Right. It's totally magic.
But not quite grown, yeah. So they're underground though, right? Or no? How does that work? Truffles?
Yeah, they're underground.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So they grow downward then? Or they sprout through the soil? Or how does that work?
I still have to do more research, but...
you didn't know this was going to be a pop quiz on your earth science,
I didn't realize I needed to, do a little more Googling. But I have started the process of thinking about it.
Okay, well, you have plenty of acres to do it. Do you think if you were going to farm truffles, would you do it on the same property you have now, or maybe buy a new
No,
property?
and I'll tell you why. Because horses require acreage, and so you don't want your horses not to have enough land to graze on and so forth. And so 16 acres is a lot, but if you have 20, 25, 30 horses, then
They need room.
they need room.
Is there like a magic rule of like you need, 1 acre for every 5 horses or something like that?
Yeah, so I've heard it even said 1 to 1.
Really?
Yeah, because they'll eat the grass and then it has to grow back, and
Yeah.
But I'm not an expert on that either. I mean, I do have a 16-acre horse farm, Valiant Sport Horses in Chesterton, Indiana, but I'm more behind the scenes when it comes to that stuff.
I see. Were your parents, did they own horses?
No.
Or, and it's just a personal interest you have, or?
Yeah, I mean, it's really more my husband, and he told me last year it was his dream to do that. And I was surprised. I hadn't heard that dream before. We've been married for quite some time, but so we just went for it. So he's out there right now taking care of the horses and getting things done. And
So he knows how to do all that then, like maybe he had that in his background, or he knows how to take care of horses?
we have a great partner and friend, and she's the head trainer, and she brings a lot of insight to it.
Yeah.
Her name's Brianna, and she's fantastic. So you should come out and visit us there.
I absolutely will.
I hope so.
I feel that I get to know my guests better. Like last Breaking Bread we had on Gaspar Flores, Senior and Junior, and we were talking before the video, and I had no idea, like, the street that my mom grew up on, they're the same street, but just the next block down. I had no idea. I would have probably never learned that, or at least it would have took a lot longer had we not done the Breaking Bread. So I'd love to see that, because my family, we have a summer house in Wisconsin. It's been going through the family after my dad's passing to my mom and my brother and I, and it's just a really good getaway. I find peace of mind there. Like, there is peace there when I go there, and I love that. I love the nature and just the serenity in the getaway. And then there's also a lot of good local restaurants, and just it's kind of cool to have that getaway, because you're part of that for a little while, the culture and the friends I have there, and to be part of that and be with them, but then come back and have that too. So why Indiana? Is it just the closeness, or is there land that you liked out there? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it was the opportunity, and it's close enough to Chicago. So like I said, I mean, Chicago is great. It's my home. I've always been my home. So it's close enough so I can drive back and forth. I think it takes me not even an hour. And so, I go there on the weekends as a country home.
That's awesome, yeah.
And I do what I can. I like to be with the horses. There's a chicken there, and if you've watched my Facebook Live at all, I do a lot of Facebook Live videos with Chicken, who is a rooster. And he's the only chicken there right now, but maybe we'll have more in the future. Get some eggs.
Expand the chicken family.
Yeah, I mean, maybe next time you have me come on, I'll bring you some eggs.
That would be awesome.
And here's an interesting fact about eggs. There's white eggs and brown eggs.
Yeah, I've seen both.
Okay, so what's the difference?
Are the white eggs actually bleached to be white, or do they actually come out that color?
They come out that color.
Okay, they come out that color. It's the bird who lays them, I would guess.
It is.
Yeah.
So I didn't know this either. So I do a lot of Googling. So white eggs come from white chickens, and brown eggs come from brown chickens.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems intuitive, but you
Yeah.
wouldn't necessarily know that. And what if it was the opposite way? What a mind trip that would be. Like, the white eggs are coming from the brown chickens.
Well, that would be a weird day. But
Yeah.
so you pay more for the brown eggs.
I see.
But why?
That's a good question, and I hope you have the answer to that. 'Cause
I
now I'm
do.
curious.
And cut this out if this is boring, but...
No, keep it in there. This is real conversation. Real people having real conversations about real things, like chickens.
So it's about how much feed they need and the size of the chicken. So I guess brown chickens are typically larger and require more food and stuff like that.
Okay, so the eggs are larger too then?
Well, it's not that the eggs are necessarily larger, but it costs more to take care of the brown chickens.
Oh,
And so
the
that's
cost
why
is
the
passed
eggs-
off to the consumer, because
Right.
you have to pay all this money to feed your
Additional money,
big brown chickens. I
Right,
guess,
but it's not like it's healthier, or, some people go for the brown eggs because
Right.
they think that they're healthier, they're more natural.
But that's not necessarily the case?
Not necessarily. Now, I do encourage people to do their own research on this, because I don't want to be the expert and, misspeak by something that I read myself, but that's what
Yes.
I've heard.
If you find this interesting, there's probably plenty of good Wikipedia stuff out there you
That's
can look
exactly
at
right.
and learn more about it.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, that's really interesting. my dad did like horse riding back in Ireland, and it was more like for show. So I don't know how he got into it, because like that seems like a more, I don't even know what word to describe it with, but he was tough as nails. But he did like trick shows, and like he would be in like I guess they would get judged on it and everything for points, and he did that stuff when he was younger. He was very, very fond of horses, so I know he would probably love to just drive out to see, Lord rest his soul, if he was still with us, he'd love to drive out and see the place you have. He really loved our summer house up in Wisconsin, because we go up there and you'll be riding home from a dinner or something somewhere on Friday night, and you'll see all sorts of deer by the side of the road grazing, and they tend to like the fresh grass, and I guess that's why they go to like pick at the side of the road, because the county or the government comes through and they cut that. So yeah, he would love to see your place, because he's just super fond of them when he was growing up.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you do there, like things that you grow there, or different types of food, or is it just?
Well, I have a vegetable garden, and I've grown really big zucchinis, which I do leave at people's places. So I put one zucchini on the new CEO of the Chicago Association of Realtors desk.
Okay.
It's like a stealth zucchini, so I just put it there and then I leave and I don't say anything. Or on my neighbors' porches, because I get so many of them. And sometimes now when people see me coming, they run the other way. They don't want another giant zucchini.
I feel like you're kind of like a superhero, like Zucchini Woman is here, like bringing health to everybody.
Yeah, bringing health and annoyance, because how many ways can you cook a zucchini? A million is. Google that and you'll find out it's a million. So I do have a little garden, but the focus is the horses, and they're sport horses, which means, it's not a horse you're just going to get on and ride down the trail.
Right.
You're going to be a hunter or a jumper. That means you're jumping over the jumps.
And the horses you have.
The horses we have. And so our head trainer, Brianna, who I already mentioned, who is fantastic, she trains the horses to do that. She trains people to do that, and she herself does it. And again, like if you've seen my Facebook, like my cover shot or something, that was her jumping over, something that I don't even know how high it is, but it's fantastic. So that's, it's a sport horse. It's a completely different thing, and so that's the focus.
That's awesome, yeah. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because I'm guessing that your trainer is like maybe the horse whisperer, like she becomes one with the horse, and like they have this relationship where like, we're gonna do this jump now, and you got this. I know you got this. Like building up the horse's confidence.
Maybe you should have her on one of these.
Maybe.
I mean, that would be great and interesting.
If we do another one next year, perhaps we could do like a Antje anniversary show where we do it same month. Perhaps we could have her come in from Indiana and break some bread with us. Maybe. There's more room at the table, folks, and there's plenty to go around, because as I'll say at the end, we are blessed. We are blessed here. So I'm also going to touch on your musical background and A.R.E. partners too. Okay. And just for my own curiosity, before we get into the music background, what does A.R.E. stand for?
That's a good question. Everybody asks that.
Because you don't put it on your website, I don't think. It's
no,
just the abbreviation.
A lot of people try to guess what it stands for, and I encourage people to continue doing that, but essentially our tagline feeds it, which is, you need a real estate partner. We are your partners. A.R.E. partners.
I like that.
Yeah, thanks.
That's just because you're artistic. That's why you come up with things like that.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I've been seeing more and more brokerages that are coming out now. Some of the newer brokerages out there, Main Event Realty, world champion boxer David Diaz. My friend Kenya just opened up Keeping It Real, Growing Wealth, KRGW Realty. And they all stand for something. So Keeping It Real, Growing Wealth, which brings home with me a lot. I like that, and I'll be talking more about that in the future in some of these videos. I gotta backtrack for a second, because you mentioned the zucchini. So do you like surprise people with these zucchinis?
Yeah, that's the whole point. They're stealth.
They know it's you doing this, or they figure it out later when you're like, who the hell put a zucchini on my desk?
Yeah, they figure it out later. They figure it, or I'll send them a picture like later, like, I saw this weird character hanging out on your porch, and it'll be a picture of the zucchini.
With a little caption on there, like they write something on it or something like that, or no?
Well, that's what I should do. See, that's you being creative, so.
What I hope is that they're, like, I don't really eat zucchini. I don't eat a lot of vegetables. A lot of the times, if it's soup or salad, for me it's soup. And my dad was the opposite way. He would always eat all sorts of vegetables. Any type of vegetable, he would try it. Me, I feel like vegetables are more rabbit food, and I'm not criticizing anybody who eats that out there, but I don't like all the crunchiness, and it's hard to make it palatable for me, so I prefer protein, fats, carbs, the whole deal. But I've been better about that lately. I order my meals, I get them delivered, which is nice, so it helps me to stay on track, because if I order out, I'm getting food that's not as good a quality, and I'm not saying restaurants like this, but fast food types of restaurants, and I'm paying more. If I go to the grocery store, I'm paying basically the same price, but I still have to put all the time and effort into prepping it, so I have my meals delivered. But that's something, as far as the health, it's been a big change, and it's been helping me lose weight, but I haven't been big on the vegetables. But I'm just hoping the people you give these zucchinis to actually eat them, because what else do you do with a giant zucchini? Use it as a paperweight at the office, or
I mean, you could. They're pretty heavy.
Put a little hat on it and take some pictures, like you were saying. What's the most creative thing you've seen somebody do with one of your zucchinis so far?
I don't know what they do with the zucchinis.
Well, you said they sent you pictures. What do they?
No, I send them pictures.
Oh, you send them pictures.
I send them pictures to let them know, hey, that was me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So they're not like, man, I've had some weird things happen in my life, but today when I got back in from lunch, there was a giant zucchini on my desk.
Exactly. That's what I do. That's me. So now we've sort of blown my cover with this video.
So you're no longer the zucchini bandit anymore?
No, I'll have to figure something else to do.
Well, I'm sure maybe after a while, they're really going to fall in love with you, because it's going to be truffles.
Maybe.
Truffles.
Yes. Either the ground truffles or the magical chocolate truffles.
Do you see what you're doing with your farm as something that you were going to use in a business going forward? Are you going to be selling horses, or getting into shows, performance shows with those horses, or what is there plans for that?
Yeah. There is, and that's the whole point, you know what I mean? So the business is called Valiant Sport Horses, there's just so many elements of it. So, I mean, we could talk more and more about it.
So you have an LLC or a corporation for that or something?
There is a business for it.
Yeah.
Brianna's got that covered, and like I said, you should have her on the show. You're so interested in this part of it, and I'm telling you what I can tell you, but she's your girl.
Well, good for you.
Yeah.
As I mentioned earlier, you're heavily involved with the Chicago Association of Realtors. You are decorated with all sorts of different awards, and I'm sure they don't just give those out for not putting effort in, so I know you're putting in the effort. So it'd be interesting to see where all that goes, because there's so many other industries beside the one we work in. Real estate's a great industry, especially when the market's good. Mm-hmm. But there's a lot more that you can do, between a friend of mine, he has family that they just have land where they just grow trees, and then those are sold for paper or to use for telephone poles or whatever have you. So there's so many things you can do with the land, or selling horses, or having your performance company. So are you trying to get riders that will come in and do to kind of not recruit, but to have them to ride your horses in these competitions? Yeah.
So Brianna will ride the horses in competition, and she's training people to become those types of riders. You have to train the horse to take the cues properly and so forth, and so that's part of it. And then there's also the selling of the horse to somebody who needs a champion horse to compete with themselves. And in regard to that, I think that even though that seems like something completely different, or I came from a music background that seems like something completely different, actually you can learn from all of the things that you do to be successful in whatever it is you're doing. So it's not like they're so separate of each other.
Yeah, they're not. There's so many transferable skills, I think, from one area or one facet of your life to the next.
That's right. That's right. And so.
And you seem to be very good at transferring those skills around to the different facets that they need to be transferred to.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much.
You're welcome. Thanks. Including your fashion. Everybody out there, all the viewers, I think they're going to be asking where you got that jacket, or where can they get one too, or your necklace, or your shirt, possibly. I don't know.
So I sewed this jacket last night. No, I'm just joking.
I was going to say, that's really impressive. Were you up all night long
I
sewing
am
that
not
jacket?
good with that kind of stuff at all. So I know where my strengths are, and it's definitely not sewing or anything that has to do with that. This jacket is from Athens, Greece. I was there a few years ago with my husband and our daughter, and picked this jacket up at that time.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So that jacket has been through thousands of miles, and it looks like they make good jackets in Greece.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to go there, and I have a lot of Greek friends from high school. I went to St. Joseph's in Westchester, and there's a tight-knit Greek community there.
Yes.
And I've never seen a people who are so passionate about their mother country,
Yes, great
and
people are.
and just the culture there, and I feel like I'm part of it when I'm with them. I'm like, I feel like almost like I've been there for a second, but I'm like, I really need to go there because the way they talk so fondly of it.
Yeah.
And it's like paradise, a lot of the islands.
That's
of Greece,
exactly
I'm
right.
sure.
I mean, Athens is a great city because it's one of the oldest cities in Western civilization, but the rest of Greece is fantastic, and you have the water and the islands and different areas, and so I really like Greece. I'd been there several times before meeting my husband, before getting married.
You met him in Greece?
No, I met him here. I met him
In Illinois?
in Chicago.
In Chicago.
Yeah, at the Steppenwolf Theater down in Old Town.
Okay, so he's involved in music then, or what line of work is
He's
he in?
not. He is now taking care of this new endeavor, and he's probably right now working with a horse or doing something similar.
Yeah. We're breaking bread, and he's breaking his back working with the horses. Right
I'm
now.
having a great lunch, and they're shoveling horse poop. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, it does. Sometimes you're one shoveling, and sometimes you're the one, taking care of it or whatever.
Well, here's the thing, and I know you're trying to move on to the next subject matter, but one of the great things
we
about...
can talk about whatever. There's no rush here. We
Thank
blocked
you.
off a certain amount of time in our schedules
Thanks.
to do this, so you tell the viewers whatever you'd like to tell them.
The thing about the real estate business is you do a lot of stuff and you don't necessarily get this tangible reward right away. You talk with people, you show houses, you're networking, and eventually something comes of that.
That is true.
And that's not to discourage anybody, that's just the part of the process. Sometimes deals take months to happen, and then the closing gets delayed, or there's a million things that could occur. But at a horse farm, what I learned this year was I love doing that work, and the reason I love doing it is because that tangible accomplishment you get right away. You know what I mean? Like, you see that progress, and so it's very tactile and it's very immediate. And so that's why I really like going out there and doing that.
Yeah, there's something, I think we all as people need that immediate reward in whatever type of thing we're doing. Because like for me, like I guess I'm going to be the perfect husband to my girlfriend because I clean the house. Like on a weekend, laundry goes in before I run my errands. Then when I come back, the laundry's ready to go into the dryer, and then I start doing all my other stuff. While that's in the dryer, I'm like sweeping up the floor or mopping it or vacuuming or whatever have you. But it gives me peace because I feel like a clean environment, a clean home, a clean office creates a clean mind. When I get in and everything's nice and organized and nice and clean, everything's clean up here too. But when there's things messing around, messed up, there's chaos around me, if you will. So I feel that reward too. So I'm sure everybody has things that are like cleaning's kind of a mindless task. Like you don't have to be super present while you're doing it, but there's that nice sense of reward when you look around and see, your clean, humble abode, if you will.
Right. Well, that's part of the thing, and that's actually what I talk to people at my office, or generally people who ask me for advice in regard to this. Is if you need to do prospecting, or you need to make phone calls, and out of your periphery something is distracting you that you can get done that will pull you away from that, you will always choose that thing rather than having to make call, maybe leave a message, maybe have that person tell you not today, or
So what's the best strategy then?
To commit to that time frame for those phone calls.
The time blocking, you're saying just the time
Just
blocking.
do it
Strict time
and
blocking.
do not allow yourself to be distracted by the other stuff, because that tangible element is so important to us. It will feel like that's more important in general, and you might not get a tangible result from those phone calls right away, right? So, but you have to do them.
You really do.
You have to do them, and so to set that time to have that focus is super important. And I'm not an expert at it by any means. I mean, I completely know where my weaknesses are, and my weakness is if I can do something that will be completed in a half an hour and I can see that completion, I will do that every time, if it's sweeping or whatever that is. And even though it's important, that other business part is super important, and that feeds what will later be a tangible reward.
Yeah, finding the balance between the tangible rewards and the non-tangible, because I guess each step in the non-tangible reward is rewarding in and of itself though when you accomplish that. And for me, one of the challenges I faced in my life was I had ADD real bad as a kid, and I don't think the science or the medicine at the time was very advanced. And even now, it's still developing and growing what are the best treatments for that kind of thing. But what I have read is that you become more cognizant of your ADD as you grow older. And that is true. I can say it for certain for myself because I was hyperactive as a kid. My mom was always the one who would get a call, oh, Brian did this at school today, or Brian got into a fight with so-and-so or whatever. And it was because I had that hyperactivity and that attention deficit disorder where I couldn't focus. And it was a tough challenge that I faced. I wouldn't have been able to do well on the LSAT to get into law school or to pass the bar exam first time. Not bragging, but kind of bragging.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a mental marathon. It all is. But I believe in the potential of individuals, and I believed in myself. And what I would do is I would just work at it until I bettered my mind. And like I said, when I became more cognizant of that ADD as I got older, I say, oh, okay, that's a distraction that you just let take you off to that side path. And I'm honing those skills to this very day. Before we're doing breaking bread here, is to stay focused and not interrupt the flow of a situation. Just focus on that and see it through if you can. There's times in our business where you'll be pulled away. That's why sometimes it's even tough to work in my office because, Brian, this is what's going on with 123 Main, or Brian, what do you think about this, or what should we tell them on this? So it's finding that balance and staying focused on that. For me, like I said, I believe that if you stick to something and you repeat it enough, you can do better. Because there was times when I first started taking the law school admissions test, I wasn't scoring very well, but I would go to the library every weekend on a Saturday, and I would take the exam like it was a real-time conditions, because you can get the previously released ones, the official ones, not made up, because there's companies that will do like some practice questions and they're based on real problems or similar to real problems, but they are not the real problems. So I would go and take these exams, and then I would go back and see which ones I got wrong, which ones I got right. And the ones I got wrong, I would look at the right answer and think to myself, try to reason it out mentally. Why is that the right answer? And so that's how I'd be able to sharpen my skills and become better in my life with things like that. So is there anything along that same line that you've done repetitively that has made you better at something?
Well, I think repetition always, you can do keep repeating all the same mistakes, and that does not make you better at all. And so my only thing that I'm thinking in regard to that is, but people are creatures of habit, and so we can't help but just make those same mistakes over and over. And, to look at yourself and go, okay, why am I acting this way, or why am I reacting this way? And to make a cognizant choice to try to change that behavior. That's kind of something that I've been working through, you know what I mean? Because repetition it's like anything. It's like muscle memory, or if you're doing a sport or whatever, if you do it over and over,
it's your reflex.
It's your reflex. It becomes normal.
You have to evaluate that. You have to step back from that reflex. Sometimes just be like, should I continue doing this, or is it time for a change or a new strategy or whatever it may be?
Exactly. And so that's really my only response to that. I mean, obviously, if you play guitar and you practice over and over, but if you're making a mistake and you don't rectify that mistake, like if your form is bad or something, you're doing something without addressing why that one note always sounds bad, then it's always going to sound bad. It doesn't matter how much you practice if that one section of it is done poorly because you don't feel like addressing it. I think that's true for anything in life.
Yeah, and I've been one of my biggest principles I have is learning from mistakes. And the way I like to think about it is there's a famous Irish coach out of Straight Blast Gym in Ireland, John Kavanagh, who trains fighters in mixed martial arts. And there's a big debate going on about whether martial arts are actually arts, and I tend to believe they are. But his saying is, we win or we learn. So there's no negativity there, right? It's not we win or lose, which is what happens in life. It's we win or we learn. And I've been fortunate that I focus on learning from those mistakes and not repeating them again. Every experience I have makes me a better person or a better advocate or a better attorney. And I'm blessed by the experiences I've had, including this breaking bread here.
Thank you so much. I'm having a great time.
I'm glad you are. And Have you tried that one yet?
I
How is it?
actually have not tried it yet.
You should.
Right now, at this very moment?
Yes.
That was very good. And the thing I like about it, as I know you want to know, is, so this is a Cabernet, and Cabernet tends to be a little bit of a more full-bodied red wine.
It looks full, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Very dark in color, looks robust, yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I find myself enjoying those types of drinks a little bit more. So my other go-to drink, which I felt lunchtime might not be the right time, is scotch. And so that's my drink of choice. I drink it neat, and the peatier it is, the more I like it. And so it should be a single malt, Lafrague or Lagavulin, or, you know, there's a few others that I really, really like.
Yeah.
But for lunchtime, especially because I have a few things going, this is perfect.
Good. And I like how you put the neat little perfect bow on it right there at the end, because the viewers here, you can see we have the Mama Luigi's logo in the shot on the wine glass on the other side. Good on Mama Luigi's for thinking about marketing. And if they need to take their marketing to the next level, they should talk to the man who's here in their restaurant right now, Renee Costa from Blum Visual. So the viewers out there know that they have good Cabernet here.
They do.
Mama Luigi's.
Yes.
I'm guessing that'll be a nice accent to the Italian meal we'll have in a little while.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, because
I haven't even had breakfast because I knew I was just going to stuff my face with this fantastic food.
I didn't have any breakfast either, and I usually don't. I do fasting, not because I'm like a super believer in the science behind it, but because it seems to work better for my body type, and like I don't. My dad was always the type, and I was raised accordingly, that we liked breakfast and we did big hearty breakfast, you know, sausage, eggs, pancakes, whatever. I don't even usually eat my first meal till 2 or 3 in the day. I will have some of this food for breaking bread, but I don't eat it all at once. I take it for later. I just have a little sample to show the viewers how good it is. But there's no way you could eat what I'm going to order. You'll see in a little while. It's going to be a surprise. Stay tuned. What I'm going to order is too hearty to eat all of. They give you very good portions here, so I won't be able to eat all of it. But good Cabernet here at Mama Luigi's Fine Italian Dining.
Well, I think it is brand, you know, and some people like Coke and some people like Pepsi, and they taste different to them. You know
well,
what I
can
mean?
tell the difference easily.
I can tell the difference too. What do you prefer?
Out of Coke or Pepsi?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I would have said Pepsi for sure, because that's kind of what I was raised on. But now, like, Coke has a lot to offer. Like, especially when you go to McDonald's, and like, here's the thing. Like, I really don't go there often. I really don't even drink soda that often anymore. When I was younger, I drank a ton of it. It's you know, it's all full of sugar and everything. But when they put that ice in there and they water it down just perfectly, there's some magic going on in there for sure. Like, it's delicious, you know?
Yeah, I agree. I'm more of a Coke person too.
No kidding.
But it has to be exactly that right ratio of ice to soda and all of that stuff. So I think that's part of it. So maybe here's the thing, most people don't know this, but there are several high-profile women in the real estate industry who are Scotch drinkers.
Really?
And yeah.
I don't know if we can name them now.
I
don't know if
won't
they'd like us
name
to
them,
unless it's like a Scotch club that's already out there.
There's no
Do they
shame
have
in
a
drinking
Facebook page?
Scotch. There's no shame in it at all. But maybe that's, you know, something for down the road is you do an event at a place where you do a little of a Scotch tasting, and you bring in these people, these women, and they will each give you their feedback on it. And I've already booked it out for you.
Well, thank you for doing the heavy lifting for me.
You're welcome.
Nacho, real gentlewoman you are.
Thank you.
Are you part of like a secret Scotch society, or is this like a thing where like if I know about it, like am I in danger now or no?
There's no secret about it at all.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
No, everybody knows.
Whoever they are, I want to meet them and add them to my list of best friends.
Okay.
You know, and my true list of best friends is very short. There's some people that have displayed a loyalty to me that nobody else has in life, but I've been adding a lot of best friends onto that list. You are going to be part of my best friends list.
Thanks so much. It means so much to me. Thank you.
Oh, look at how warm and cozy we are. New best friends here on camera for you to see. So you said your mom was an artist.
Yes, she is an artist.
She is an artist.
Yes.
And I think it's because my dad passed. I refer to parents in the past tense now. It's just the way I've been speaking over the past few years. So your mom is an artist.
Yes.
What type of art?
Visual art. And she, as an adult, after having 5 kids, so there's 5 kids in my family, she went back to school because she didn't get to finish school when she was in Germany. She got married.
So you're
she
one
came
of
here.
5?
Yes, I'm the oldest girl, second oldest.
How many boys and girls in the family?
2 boys, they're bookends, and then 3 girls.
Oh, that's interesting. I work out that they were bookends, and then 3 girls in the middle. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you said she does visual art?
She does visual art. She went back to school as an adult, I think in her 40s or something like that.
Good for her.
And
never time that's not good to be going back to school.
Yeah, I mean, I think you know, well, I think it wasn't an easy time, but it was easier than it would have been if we were all really young. And she, as part of her senior exhibit, did a show, and the gallery for the school had lost their funding and didn't have a space, and so she had to rent a storefront to do her senior exhibit. Well, that storefront became an art gallery, and now 25 plus years later, it's still in effect, which is pretty great for a not-for-profit, because not-for-profits' lifespan is usually much shorter, maybe 7 years. They have international membership, and shows, you know, it's not a commercial art gallery, it's more of a they have social and political themed shows.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So that's been going on for how long?
Over 25 years.
Where's that located?
Now it's in Pilsen. It started out in the north side in a small storefront.
I want to go and see it now, because I'm a very visual person. Like, I need to see this with my own eyes.
Okay.
Because Pilsen is booming. I work with Realty Chicago a lot, their Pilsen office.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a vibrant community. We had some great times. I was just there for a Cinco de Mayo party, and it was almost like being at Mardi Gras. Like, everybody's in the streets dancing, and Realty Chicago brought in the banda, and they're playing
I've
right
seen that.
in the
I saw that
street,
online.
Mm-hmm. It was just nourishment for the soul, I guess you could say, that day on Cinco de Mayo. Everybody coming together and just really enjoying a good time in Pilsen. So that's really awesome. Is it on Halstead, or where's that at?
No, it's not on Halstead, and it's in a old warehouse loft type building.
Okay.
That's been developed.
So a little farther north in Pilsen then, or
no, south. I think it's south, like 21st and
okay.
Maybe it's by Archer. Does Archer run through?
Yeah, it is. It runs kind of right by, I think, the border there.
Yeah. So
Pilsen is right by Archer.
It's called Woman Made Gallery. And
Woman Made Gallery?
Mm-hmm. And I'll send you the address.
How often do they do like events there and things like that?
They've been doing like 8 to 10 group shows a year.
Group shows? What?
Yeah, so there's a political theme or a social theme, and there's a call for work.
Is it satire, or what is it?
It's whatever the theme, you know.
Drama, satire, all
whatever the theme is of the show. So an interesting story is that one of their shows a few years back, maybe 14, 15 years ago, was called The Child Within. And so they do a call for work, they explain what the show is, and then people submit their work, and they have a juror, and the juror reviews all the art and selects the pieces for the show.
Is that, do you say juror?
A juror, yes.
Is that something that exists only there, or is this a common thing?
That's a common thing for art galleries.
What should be in here?
Yeah,
like,
so
here's the perspective of a juror. This is what they do. They tell you, that piece doesn't really belong here, or, you know, do it only temporary type of thing, and then the rest stays.
Right.
That's a thing?
That's a curate. That's more of a curator. Yeah, so.
Okay, I didn't know what a curator did. I'm learning new things.
Yeah, so they curate the art for the show, but for the juror has a vision for the show, and they would potentially select different pieces than a different juror might select. And the juror is selected based on the theme of the show. So, for instance, one of the more high-profile people who've juried there is Christy Hefner, who used to run Playboy. And there was a specific show where they felt that her vision for the show would be of value. So The Child Within happened. I like the story because my mother was the executive director. She's now retired. She is not the juror, right? She's the executive director, so she might give oversight, but she does not select the art. And she submitted for The Child Within one of my daughter's pieces, and my daughter at the time was 4. So she had drawn something, and she submitted that piece, not indicating that it was a 4-year-old child who had done the piece. And the piece was selected for the show. And then she, of course, came forward and said,
so art is like in your blood, basically. Like, your daughter has it, too.
Well, I mean, I think that everybody has a creative expression. You know what I mean? Everybody has that. Some people will say, oh, I'm not artistic at all. I don't believe that's true. I believe that everybody is multifaceted, and everybody has that element to them. So even though someone might be like, oh, he's really good at math, that's all he does, he's an accountant and he's not artistic, I don't believe that. I believe that somewhere in there is something artistic, or maybe he the way he cooks, or he...
You're just not seeing it. Well, this guy's solving all sorts of equations. You're not seeing the fact that this guy makes some good risotto.
And that's important.
It is important.
Yeah, it is. Are you ordering risotto today?
I am not.
Okay, I'm not either.
We will see soon.
Okay.
Because for the viewers out there, we have not decided what we're ordering yet. We're going to take a little break in a little while. There's still more good conversation to be had here.
I hope so.
And we'll there's a few topics we'll cover, and then we'll get to the meal. But we'll look over that and see what looks good to us today. I already know what I'm ordering. I'm going to be honest with you.
I don't.
So
I haven't even looked at the menu, but I know what I like generally speaking. So I'll read it though. It looks like there's a lot on the menu.
Oh yeah, those are big old menus. You can't see them in the camera shot right now, but the menus are sitting over there, and we can see from here all the stuff that's listed on there, not specifically, but how much is on there, and there's a lot. Did you get your artistic side from your mom then? I mean, I would think that would be the logical way it happened, but yeah, is that how it happened? Or what?
I guess. I mean, it's hard to say, but let's just say yes.
Was your dad more of like the business person in the family then, or
he was the editor of the German newspaper, and I think what really influenced me more than that is because my parents were divorced when I was younger, when I was 3, as I mentioned at the very top of the show, in that very sad, gut-wrenching moment where I talked about that.
You still spent time with both of them?
Oh yeah. But my mother remarried my stepfather, who's from Bulgaria, and he played guitar and sang, and that was a big thing about him that was influential to me. And so he would keep his guitar in the closet in the corner, and not in a case or anything. And I would go in there in the dark and shut the door, and I would just strum on it, and I would make up these songs when I was really young. But I was a little tone deaf, which people sometimes are when they're younger. That's maybe
things tend to blend more at that time.
Yeah, things.
You don't pick out the individual things. It's
yeah,
more
exactly.
Just like, oh, I hear the noise.
Right, exactly, and that's how I was. And so that was much more of an influence on me. So, I mean, biologically, did I get it from my mother or my father? I don't know, but influentially, I got it from my stepfather.
What type of music did he play?
He's from Bulgaria, and he would sing like Bulgarian folk songs.
Folk songs?
Mm-hmm.
I listened to your music before coming here to break bread today.
You found some?
I did.
Oh.
Both of your albums are up on allmusic.com, I believe is the name.
Okay.
I might not be getting it right because I don't have the URL in front of me.
I drink
but
while you're talking about that.
Yes, that's what I've been doing. You're behind. If this is a marathon, it's not a marathon. We're not comparing. We're not judging. It's not a competition. But I'm ahead of you a little bit.
I had a bottle before you showed up.
Really?
No.
Okay. I didn't believe that. I know you were joking around, but if you did, holy cow! Like you did have a head start on me.
Not really.
No. So he played folk music, and I listened to your music. I would say, like, if you ask me in one word what your music's like, I would say folk music. It's there was different things, right? Because all the songs are listed from each album on there. Some of them sounded like they'd be good on the show Boardwalk Empire. Have you ever watched that show?
No.
You should
But I've
definitely
heard
check
of it.
that out.
I've heard of
That's
it,
something
for sure.
another time. But yeah, there's a fruit fly or something. We have some lemon slices here on the table. But we will not let that distract us. Hopefully it does not distract you guys out there either.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all it's all good. Don't think any less of this restaurant because this has happened many a time in many different places. The food is very good, I assure you. I wouldn't put the breaking bread stamp of approval on it if I didn't believe that was true. But yes, some of the songs sounded kind of like jazzy and more big band, like from earlier on in the century, and then a lot of what I was hearing was very folksy, and that's something you drew from your stepfather then, you think?
I think that you draw from just whatever you're doing in life, like, you know what I mean, whoever you listen to, whatever you're listening to will always influence you in some way. So I'm sure I got some of that from him. I mean, Bulgarian folk songs are different than like the folk of Bob Dylan, and it's a different thing altogether. When I talk folk music, I'm talking about like the cultural folk music.
Cultural folk, as opposed to popular cultural folk. Maybe.
Yeah, like as opposed to,
Even though Dylan's awesome. I mean, I'm sure you love him too. Dylan is incredible.
Yeah, but I do like a lot of the singer-songwriter stuff from the 60s and 70s. That influenced me for sure. My last band that I was in before I retired, which was 8 years ago, was...
Don't say that we're retired.
But I did.
You might still have... I want to see you perform somewhere. Just because you're performing in commercial real estate, and real estate in general doesn't mean you still can't perform musically.
He's absolutely
With
right.
that jacket too, like you got a rock star jacket on right now.
He's absolutely right about that.
Do you still play?
When no one is around, yes. I do it for
Guitar and singing? Or?
Yeah, I do that for myself because I enjoy doing it. But, you know, the thing about it is that wasn't a hobby for me. That was my career. And so even though I loved it, I was passionate about it and all of that, it was something that I got to a point with commercially. Like, you know, I retired right before we got signed to our major record deal. We were being managed by Reba McEntire's management company out of Nashville. And so we had gotten to a point that a lot of musicians strive for a long time, and I had lost my passion for it. And part of that was probably due to doing it for a while and being tired. I don't really give up for being tired. You know, I generally work hard. But I lost the passion, and in order to do anything in life and to do it well and to enjoy your life, you got to love it because you make so many sacrifices for it, whether it's in real estate and you're doing showings on the weekends instead of spending time with your family, or late at night, or, you know, just anything. And it's not just real estate, it's whatever the profession is. I think if you don't have that passion for it, if you don't love it, then why are we doing it? And so that's why I retired, because it wasn't worth the sacrifices I was making and going to have to continue making to continue on. So, you know, I think I might have told you this when we were talking about it at one of the YPN events, is that I had always been in real estate. Prior to that, I had invested in real estate. I was a landlord. I managed our properties.
Even during your music
Yeah,
days.
yeah. Mm-hmm. In Chicago.
I didn't know, because I thought it was kind of like a transition to the next part of your life.
Yeah, no, so it was something that I carried over. I had never been a broker. I had never owned a brokerage, but I had extensive real estate experience buying properties with the acquisitions, knowing when to sell and how much to sell for,
Right.
Even going to eviction court and doing property management type things. And so I, you know, bring a lot of that to the table and know how to handle a lot of different properties because of that. So that experience sort of carried over, and
were you a broker the whole time you were buying properties?
No, I was never a broker. No, that came later after I.
So you got a good education
on the streets.
On the streets.
Yeah.
You got some street cred.
Yeah, got some hard knocks, you know, and learned a lot from that.
It's a hard knock away for us.
Nice.
So yeah, literally first from doing your own work, were you the first person in your family to invest in real estate then, or to?
Yes. Well, no, yes and no. So we always were renters. With 5 kids, you know, that's really hard, as you're not supposed to not rent to people. But you know, there is a certain limitation to how many people you can have in an apartment. And so we were always renters. And then when I think I was just finishing high school or starting college, my parents bought their first 2-flat. And so it was a building that we had been living in, but they became homeowners for the first time. And that was very influential and a very big time in my life. And because prior to that, it was like, you know, even like, you know, because my parents were divorced, like sometimes we'd even have to say, okay, well, we need to find a new place. We might say that you guys, the older 3 kids, were the children of my father, and the younger 2 were the children of my stepfather. And so sometimes, you know, my parents would be like, okay, we'll say the older kids live with their father so that we can get a place and not be, you know, not basically have to either get it's a long story, and I'm obviously stumbling over my words, but we would have to make up these potential lies so that we could get an apartment where we could all live together as a family. But
different times then.
That was a different time altogether.
Different times.
I mean, you know, the thing is, looking back on it now, of course, I see so many egregious elements to being potentially discriminated against for having children, even though they were plenty large apartments for that many kids. But nonetheless, once we had that home ownership, that was a big deal, and something that my parents had been working for. And I don't know that they ever thought they would have that, as immigrants and having different things. Like, even though my mother was an artist, you don't make money being an artist. And so she had different jobs. She worked in a factory at night while we were growing up. My stepfather drove a cab while trying to get his being a union electrician.
Usually, trying to get up to becoming like an A card holder. My dad was an electrician by trade too. You have to work your way through an apprenticeship, then you get a B card, then you get an A card, and you're a journeyman. You can work almost anywhere throughout the country where this electrical code is standard. So and he did different jobs to just kind of make ends meet.
That's right. And he eventually did, he did become a union electrician. He overcame a lot of obstacles to do that, including language issues and so forth.
134?
Is that in Chicago?
Well, that's one of the main ones in Chicago. There's Local 21. Who also, they do, I think, telecommunications electrical work with
I don't
think
AT&T. That's not what he did. It's whatever the one is downtown, like on, is it Lake or Randolph, where the...
That's probably 134.
Yeah, so...
I don't remember, because it's been a while with my dad. I know they have, like, offices and things down there for the union, but I think it's more related to their, like, pension plans and stuff that's down there. I don't know where their actual, like, Local 134 headquarters, but probably.
Yeah.
And they name the locals... or the locals are numbered after where they originated from. So local 1 could be like in Boston or New York, and then the next local, it's all chartered out for each local. So 134, I guess we were the 134th in line, which is kind of hard to believe. If that's the biggest union in Chicago, Chicago is a very big union city, very vibrant, robust union history here. So he eventually became a union electrician then?
Yeah, he did, and he rose through the ranks with that, and he's retired now, but... So in any case, they owned our first two flat, and that happened when I was like 18.
So you kind of learned just by growing up in that then, and that's what got you into investing and buying up properties?
I don't know. I don't think that's not something I ever cognizantly thought of. The impact of finally becoming a homeowner was substantial. But because I didn't grow up with home ownership, I didn't really think so much about it for myself. And but I have owned my house for 18 years, and shortly after that started investing in properties.
Your current home?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So and then you said you invest in properties. Do you have a you don't have to give me an exact number, but do you have a lot of properties, or little properties, or what is it that you're doing with your investing?
So
commercial, residential?
Yeah, it's mostly units, rental units, and most of them are in the South Chicago neighborhood. And, I've developed first condos in an area and so forth. And those are all things I was doing while I was pursuing music. And so, just to tie it back around, because it seems like, wow, we talked about so much. Went off on these tangents.
We will have another Breaking Bread, I'm sure, in the future.
Awesome. Is that when I retired from the music industry, where I literally said, that's it, I'm not doing that anymore. Because, again, it's not just like, oh, I'm putting my guitar away and I'm never going to play it again. It was my career. It was like somebody who, it works on the floor of the stock exchange and says, I'm done, I'm not doing that anymore. Like, you don't expect them to look at the numbers just for fun every now and again. Maybe they do and they understand them, but it's different. It was something that I did for a long time as a career, and I did retire from it.
Yeah, and it's like, it's interesting because it seems like right when you made it to that point where you're like, who knows where it could have went? Who knows? But personally, you made the decision that was right for you.
Yes.
When did you become a broker? At what point did that happen? That
happened about 8 months after that.
After the retirement? After
I retired.
Did you kind of knew ahead of time in that transition period where I'm retiring and like this is what I'm doing, or it was a time of let me see what I need to do at this time in my life?
No, it was something where I was doing some work. My husband had opened a firm that did asset management for bank-owned properties. And I was helping him with that because he helped me so much with my music career when that was occurring. And so
each person helping each other.
Yeah, really. So it was my turn to help him, and I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed being at home, not being on the road all the time. I had a 45-foot tour bus, which was fantastic at the time, but I was all over the place.
I'm having lunch with a rock star.
Yay, I'm having lunch with an attorney. It's fantastic.
Yeah, they're not as boring as oh, hi, I'm the attorney. I know the law. I'm somebody outside of the law.
Well, everybody's multifaceted, right? You have so many interests,
Yes,
too. You have so much going on. And you have your skull and crossbone bracelet today.
Why does Brian wear that? For the viewers out there, you can see it now.
Do you want to tell them?
Yes, the simple answer is I don't like empty space on my left wrist, so I have on my right wrist, for the camera it's opposite, but I have a watch on my left arm, and then I need to have a counterbalance, right? The balance, the evenness. What do I put on there? I used to have an Irish Celtic bracelet that I wear, but when I went to Ireland, this is ironic, I lost my Irish bracelet when I was going through customs and TSA and all that stuff at the airport. So they take everything off. Everything must be out of your pockets. Belts off, shoes off. Get through the line. You're a herd of cattle going through this. I left my Celtic bracelet that my cousin, God bless Steve Dreyer, United States Army, retired, Command Sergeant Major out of Fort McCoy, Wisconsin, gave me my Celtic bracelet. And I tried. I just came back from Florida and I went through O'Hare and I talked to the TSA and I said, do you have a lost and found here? And they're like, yeah. They gave me the whole procedure, how you go through it. You don't get to see what's in there, but I was hoping to find my bracelet because I was just coming back through, but I lost my bracelet, so now I have this skull and crossbones one. This is from Hayward, Wisconsin, nice little tourist town in northwest Wisconsin. It's not a very expensive bracelet, but it reminds me of my metal days when this would have been the cool thing. Like, why does everybody like skull and crossbones? I don't know, man, we're metal, but it just seems like a metal thing to do. So I got this metal bracelet, but it also reminds me of mortality nowadays. We're all mortal beings, right? We don't get to sit here forever. We're kind of immortalized by this video, wherever this is at in time and space and YouTube and Facebook and all that. But it reminds me, first of all, to feel something on my right wrist, but also that we have mortality. Like, skull and crossbones, there is death after this life, so enjoy your life, live it to the fullest, count your blessings, and break some bread. And raise a glass to all that. That would be the logical point for a break, but I'm going to ask you, what a moment we had there doing a cheers. It just spontaneously, too, it worked out really well. One last...
It's a good thing we rehearsed that like 7 times.
Yeah, before we start filming, Renee, like, let's make sure we got this take right. No script, just a conversation. I hope you enjoyed it. I definitely enjoyed it.
Me too.
But before we order our meals, which we'll do in just a couple moments here, so back to A.R.E. partners. How many brokers are in your brokerage?
I have about 8.
Okay. Not too big, not too small. Is it like a Goldilocks thing? You feel like that's just right? Or are you growing, expanding?
We are growing. We are expanding. I've had a lot more and I've had a lot less. And I think it's all about the relationship. We're a small boutique brokerage, and so the culture of the relationships is much more palpable. I know all my brokers when I see them on the street.
Right.
They know who I am. Some brokers are so big, and not everybody knows each other. So we're really more of a family. I like that family feeling. I like the direct touch with all of the brokers. And so while we're in growth mode, and I have a few exciting new brokers coming on. I like to do things and have it feel very personal. It is business, but it is still personal because you do it and you put all of your heart into it. And so I like to have that connection with my peeps.
Your peeps.
Yeah.
Is it very informal, or is there a hierarchy to all this inside A.R.E. partners, or?
No, it's some days I'm the one asking somebody the questions and they're telling me, you know what I mean? Like there's not like the boss's desk or anything like that. In fact, my space, which I'd like to invite you to, is
I will go gladly.
Has more of a gallery lounge feel to it than an office space.
Lovely.
It is lovely.
Sounds very peaceful for the
It is peaceful. There's a couple skylights, so I get a lot of sun in there, and I really just like the connection. So brokers come to my home or whatever the case may be, and I know their families, and that's important to me. It's important for me to have that connection, because even though you could be very corporate and we do things in a very professional way, there doesn't have to be all of that hierarchy, at least not for me. I like to do things more laid back and more personal. I think that works best for me and for a lot of other people.
So do you see A.R.E. partners growing beyond 8 people then, or you just kind of keep it around that level, or just see where it takes you?
I think it'll grow beyond that. It's just making those right connections at the right time, and someone who may think that where they are now is the greatest place, and it is. And every culture of every brokerage is different, and different things work for different people, and so they sort of have to figure that out as they go. So what might not seem like a possibility for somebody today might change in 6 months. You never know what's going to happen. You could own a horse farm from one year to the next. All of a sudden something changes and you're doing something different. It's not about bouncing around necessarily, but what it means is that you're finding yourself and being open to opportunities.
Sounds great.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with you, folks. We're going to order our meals and enjoy. Folks, as you can see, we are back with breaking bread, and we are actually breaking the bread right now. Hope you enjoyed the good conversation that came before that. I have chicken parmesan. I have the minestrone soup. But I'm going to turn it over to Antje to talk about her salad, her main meal, and tell you how all that is starting out here.
Okay. So I ordered the linguine and clams, which is one of my favorite dishes. I've had it in many different restaurants in the city. There's a big Italian contingency in Chicago, so there's a lot of great Italian restaurants. So I've had some really good linguine and clams, and I've had some not so good linguine and clams. So the linguine and clams will come after talk just very briefly about the salad, which is a garden salad with Italian dressing, but the thing that makes it a little bit more distinct is that the pepper, it's not just a red pepper, it's marinated. And this marinated red pepper, a little bite of that with the rest of the salad, fantastic.
I'm glad you pointed it out too, because the staff didn't point that out to us. That's just something you noticed just by eating it.
Yes, I did notice it just by eating it. It was delicious.
Let's see how the clams
Okay,
and the linguine.
so you asked me how to do this. You've never had this dish.
I've never had that dish.
Well, I welcome you to taste some of mine. I do like to put a little bit of Parmesan cheese on
The
it.
more the better, in my opinion.
Okay. I'm a little bit of a subtle person
Be subtle.
because I know
I'm
that
gonna
leaves
throw a
more for
bunch
you.
on mine.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
that's for you.
Thank you.
Please take it. And then obviously these clams are in the shell, so you don't want to eat the shell.
No, yeah,
But
too
they
crunchy,
did,
probably.
yeah, too crunchy. But they did leave a bowl for the shells, and you can remove them first. But just to get to the point, I will take a little bite. I got one little clam in there.
Look at that technique.
Thank you.
Antje is not a first timer.
And this is going to come slurping in back.
Go for it.
Wow.
That
So you can get this in red sauce,
Yeah.
like a marinara sauce,
Right.
or you can get it in a garlic and olive oil. That's what I prefer today. Got a little something here.
good. A little bit.
How's
But
that?
you're breaking bread, so it's all good.
Is it
You're
all right?
good now. Yeah, you're good now. So you can get it marinara or
You can get it with red sauce or garlic sauce or garlic with olive oil.
and then you got the garlic with olive
I
oil.
got the garlic with olive oil. And what I'm going to do in order to avoid any other stains, I'm gonna,
You can tuck it right in. Tuck
yeah,
it
I
in.
gotta tuck
That's
it
the
in.
insurance
Don't want
policy.
to get my big star all
No, you're good.
oiled up. All right, what about you? It's delicious.
Yes.
It's delicious.
What I have, like I said, is a minestrone soup. And you can see the hearty vegetables in there with a nice minestrone broth. I also have here my chicken parmesan, penne pasta on the side. There is enough here for 2 meals. This is not just for one. And when it comes to breaking bread, we are literally breaking bread here. I'm going to put some butter on this. You can see how healthy and clean this bread is here that they're using. I won't highlight that one too much, but we got our butter here. Plenty at Mama Luigi's.
Now, is that slightly salted, that butter?
Well,
Well,
it does not say, but we'll see when I taste it.
okay. What's your preference when it comes to that?
Lightly salted or no salt. There is enough salt in the rest of the stuff we eat most of the time that we don't need to add it on too much. Yeah, let me put some of this on here. We're not even gonna go with the utensils. Break off that piece of the bread there.
Now, did you learn this technique growing up?
Yeah, this is the Irishman, the Irish savage's quick way of eating butter. I'm just gonna spread it on with the wrapper. I don't necessarily recommend this technique, but it's kind of efficient. It works, right? That's hearty. Very good bread here.
Now, his mouth is full, so he's being polite. So he's spreading what he said was going to be boatloads of Parmesan cheese on his chicken Parmesan, which also has cheese on it already.
Already has Parmesan.
Okay, so this is just, adding more Parmesan to the Parmesan, but it does look delicious.
I think it's good now.
Okay.
I think it's good now. Okay, plenty of Parmesan in there, and I still have plenty left if I need more. Let's say some minestrone soup here. If you want healthy soup, the ingredients are right there, all fresh vegetables. All this is made from scratch right here at Mama Luigi's. The sauce that's on this chicken Parmesan is also made from scratch. Very thick and hearty, chunky, full of vegetables. If that's what you like, then that's the place you're going to want to eat at right here at Mama Luigi's. The broth, just right here. Not too much flavor, not too watered down. Very good. Let's try some of the main meal.
I'm sitting in anticipation on your first bite of the chicken Parmesan.
You don't have to anticipate because you are going to experience the same thing yourself. I'm cutting you a hearty piece right from the middle here.
Thank
We're
you.
both going to enjoy this.
That's for me?
Oh, there's a little bit more coming, yes, but this portion is for you.
Okay. Thank
Just
you.
a little bit more, just a little bit more. Something
No, that's too much.
Too much.
No, it's good.
Just a little bit.
This is just one bite. You got to be delicate.
Don't want to change the palate too much from the zucchini and shells you're having.
Right.
Okay. All right. No ice on both? Okay. And it's doing okay?
We're good. This is very delicious.
That chicken is very fresh. Nothing processed here. Pure breast of chicken. Very hot out the kitchen. Cheese. You can almost see the steam coming off of it in the camera there. Almost see it.
So a lot of people, when they eat food, they like to see it, they like to have it cool down a little bit before they eat it. I personally like to eat it hot. Not hot enough to burn your tongue, of course, but like, I don't.
Me too.
I like
and that's
to
why
have,
I like my coffee too. Like, I don't like bath water warm coffee. That stuff's nasty. Give me hot.
I'm the
Something to
same
wake
way.
me up.
Yeah, so that's
This
another
meal's
way
gonna
we're
wake me
the
up.
same. Bath water, warm coffee.
No.
My arch nemesis.
No. No. Let's taste some of this delicious penne with that cheese. Look at that cheese. Oh. Oh. You can't even break it off. There's so much of it. Make sure you chew it well.
Little fork. How is it? Is it good?
Very good. The cheese they use here, the flavor is just bursting with flavor right now.
This is fantastic.
Well, folks, I don't have to sell it anymore. If you want good Italian food and great service, come to Mama Luigi's. If you want to take your marketing to the next level, you need to talk to the man behind the camera, Renee Costa from Blum Visual.
That's right.
I hope you loved all the conversation we had here. We loved speaking with each other today. Thank you so much, Antje Gehrken, for being here and breaking bread with us today. We are blessed. We hope you stay blessed. Is there anything else you want to tell the viewers before we sign off?
Well, if you need a great attorney with your real estate transactions, Mr. Brian Tierney.
Thank you very much. Stay tuned for the next episode of Breaking Bread with Brian, and share this video. Never keep us a secret. I'm attorney Brian Tierney. This has been Breaking Bread with Brian. We love you.